We're an NCE likers.
My alarm. Doing a panoramic. Oh, I forgot the little ones down here.
Oh,
Say hi. Say hi, kids.
Hi. Hi.
So where would they actually drop it in the cul-de-sac?
Figures. Well, it's been traveling.
So do we have everyone in here? Nice shirt, by the way.
I've seen that before.
They rip off, right?
We have new ones to say I'd rather be on British Rail.
I want one of those.
They can be ordered.
In due time.
I was going to wear it on Via and thought,
Yeah, I'm getting a funny look.
Actually, the people who ride Via know and get it.
Well, that's
Yes.
true. They do. More importantly, the people who work on VIA get it.
actually, remember when we were on the Canadian, I wore the VSCN one?
Yeah.
And the guy says, why would those two logos be together? And I said, how old are you?
That's no excuse for 25.
It was a lot better when it was CP, went through the Rockies to right.
I betcha.
So do we have everyone in here? Are we gonna?
So, welcome everyone to Otter Valley for this presentation from Rapido. We have Dan that's going to represent HO, and of course, Mike's going to represent N-Scale.
And insult Dan.
So, enjoy the presentation, and after the presentation, we're going to have a question period.
So yeah. So
welcome, gentlemen.
thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So yes, I'm Dan. This is Mike. Together we are approximately one half of Rapido trains in North America. The other half of it is Jason, obviously, and Bill down in Connecticut, who will be visiting us later this week before they fly off to England for some sort of British model that we're doing. I don't know what it is. Anyway, sorry?
It's English.
It's English, there we go. So we've got a small selection of stuff that we've got here to show you guys. Stuff that is going to be coming out, some of it very soon, some of it a little further down the line. But basically give you an idea of what we're doing, detail parts, passenger cars, freight cars, locomotives. And then afterwards we'll have a little bit of, well, not so little bit of a question and answer period. So I'll start with the GMD ones, since these guys are now here. We have them in our warehouse. We will be shipping them out next week. The guys here will receive theirs with any luck on Friday, although it's usually one day to get here, right, Lauren? Yeah. Our account's good, so
Okay. Maybe Monday.
No, it may be Monday. It depends on how long it takes us to get them out.
And it'll be up online as soon as the items come in.
Excellent.
For the online guys and store guys too.
So yes, we've got two different versions of the GMD one here. In my hand, I've got 1909. Mike's got 1011. These are the two different versions that we have. The all-black version. 1900, four-wheel trucks, large fuel tank, steam generator, designed for passenger service, freight switching, freight mainline. It's an all-duty service. These were frequently used, even in the Toronto area, on commuter services out to Hamilton and Guelph, and I want to say Peterborough, but I don't think that's 100% true.
Yeah, but briefly.
Okay. The 1100s, or sorry, the 1000s rather, which Mike has. These are the more traditional, typical six-wheel trucks, small fuel tank, no steam generators, used, I'd like to say almost exclusively on the prairies, but more and more we find evidence that indicates that they were used everywhere. We've seen records that they were used out in northern Ontario, out in Montreal and Quebec City. Though they got around, they're basically, it's an SW1200 with a longer frame, so they would use them wherever they needed them. We'll put this on, by the way, we'll put everything on the track later, so that at that point you guys can crowd around a little bit more so you can hear and see all the different, lighting effects, sound effects that we've got on them. But they're coming with operating headlights, operating number boards, operating class lights. I think that's it for lights, but the sound on them is pretty amazing. And I'll tell you at that point how we've managed to get it on such a small model.
And we still have pre-order room on those too.
You do?
Yes, we do.
Excellent, good. And if you don't, we've got a couple of spares here and there in terms of some numbers.
Very few, or one or two.
Next in line is FPA4, FPB4. The order deadline was technically yesterday. We've extended it to the end of the month. So if you decide you want one, you still have a little bit of time to settle on which versions you want. These were MLW's counterpart to the FP9. Primarily used anywhere in the corridor and out east. They did make their way out west a little bit, but not very often. Lasted until 1989. 16-cylinder 251 Alco. Same thing, the sound system sounds like an Alco. Not really much I can say about these other than, you know, if you're modeling that time frame, that area, it's kind of, you know, you need one because they were everywhere. They were on almost every train.
They're a beautiful brute.
I'll do this one first.
Okay, fine.
Next, FP9. When we did the Canadian, we always said we're going to do the cars, we're going to do the locomotive separately. We're working on it. The locomotives we've announced. All the various CP paint schemes. Script, block, two different action reds, via rail. At the same time, we're also going to do a bunch of weird and wonderful XCN units. Rail Link.
Pan
Am, which has the two Conway Scenic units. There is one that's owned by a leasing company that's currently painted in Southern Pacific Black Widow, which we're not certain why. It's running out in California, and it looks beautiful. But you know, we figured, well, we'll throw it in there, see what happens.
The first thing that happens is people call us and ask us for the B in it, which doesn't exist.
That's right. Also,
Make one and make money.
And the KC train.
and KCS, thank you,
KCS.
KCS Business Train. And as well, we're also going to do at the same time the Confederation Train. 1967, Government of Canada decided, hey, it's 100 years of Canada, let's go celebrate. And they ran this 12 or 13 car train across the country. For the full year, they basically ran it town to town, let it sit in the town for a week, moved on to the next town.
I was on it.
So was I. I was only 3 though.
I was negative 13.
Haven't heard up much, have you?
Nope.
Oh.
We are doing a base 7-car set, which is 7 cars and the 2 locomotives.
Steam generator.
And the steam generator, thank you. The locomotives are the correct 1 CP, 1 CN1. We're even going to try and go so far as to do the correct O Canada horn on it.
Yes.
And then we're going to do the 6-car add-on set, which is going to be 6 additional coaches. Now, the one thing we're going to try and do, and this is dependent on how many orders we get for it. If we get enough orders, Jason said 1,000, it's actually going to be a little bit less than that.
There's like 300 in newsletter.
Yeah. Oh no, this is
No,
different.
this is different. No,
This is good.
We'll do the set once we get the orders. We're actually just
300 is to make the project.
Yeah.
But
And to be honest, we're just about there already.
what's behind door number 1 is better.
Yes. So for those guys who are CP modelers in the 50s, 60s, 70s, anyone here? Anybody? Put your hands up. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. That train, there's some piece of CN equipment on it, but the coaches were all CP 2200 series cars. Built in 1949, CCNF. They look kind of like the CN cars,
You're not.
but they're not. No, they're definitely not. If we get to that magic, about 1,000 sets sold, we will tool up the correct 2200 series cars. We will then, at that point, sell those cars separately in all the various CP schemes as well. CP Maroon,
Already
CP
have
Silver
this, yeah.
Maroon, CP Silver Red. So that is, if we get there, then we'll do it. Considering we're almost at the 300 set threshold for producing the set, to be honest, I think we're looking pretty good.
To be the first model of the first RTR model of the 2200s made.
That's right. There's been a couple of companies that have done resin models, and they're good models, but it takes a lot of work to do them. This would make it a lot easier, right? I guess next up is
Nobody wants to see that.
Oh yeah.
the LRC.
Oh yeah.
It exists. It really does. See, it's in my hand.
It's right there.
This is.
See if it's there in 20 minutes.
Oh no, strip search is at the door.
It better be, because you want to see all the effects on it. Now, first off, I gotta apologize. We don't have the sounds for it yet.
There's a good reason though.
Yes. One of the reasons why we don't have the sounds for it, well, we sort of have sounds for it.
Kind of.
4 years ago, oh god, it was 4 years ago, Jason and I went to Expo Rail and recorded 6921 while we were at Expo Rail. we then listened back to the sounds, and there's a couple of things about them that we're not crazy about. So we decided, Jason and I, both being members of the Toronto Railway Historical Association and who own 6917, this unit, decided, you know what, let's get that one running and we'll record the sounds off of it. The unit's running. Everything's A-okay. Problem is, Jason's now going to England, so we can't record the sounds yet. We're going to do that in early July. Once we've got the sounds done, virtually all the tooling's done. That grill needs to be revamped slightly. The steps up here need to be recut so that they can flow properly into the mold. Other than that, it's basically done. We've gotten all the other tooling changes, all the other modifications that we needed to make to it done. So,
what's the real delivery date?
End of
we're just getting to that. So it will be October, November.
What's the cutoff date?
Hasn't been finalized, but
I think, yeah, Jason was originally talking about putting it in this newsletter. It's probably going to be in the next newsletter. Cutoff date will likely be end of July.
Yeah.
The next question is, when you get the sounds, you're going to shoot a video with the unit with the sounds.
Oh, of course.
of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you know us and YouTube, right? We get along very well. Yeah, no, of course we'll do a video.
Yeah, we get along real well.
Now, one neat thing about this model, yes, we originally announced it, what was it, 7 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say that the development process for this thing has actually taken longer than the prototype. We've decided to do a couple of minor improvements to it. So for instance, and I'll put it on the truck in a minute, I'm not going to do it just yet, it's also going to be a little bit tricky to see it here. We've got lights. We're putting step lights
in.
on the model. I don't know if anyone's ever done this in RTR. I've seen the odd super detail model with step lights. It's a pretty neat thing to put on. Going forward, all of our new models are going to have step lights. So the FPA4 is going to have them as well. Any other locomotives that we may or may not do in the future, like the S13 RS23 that Jason keeps talking about, well, we're going to put step lights on them.
If we ever do it.
If we ever do it, that's right. I do apologize. This guy does not have sound in it. It does have all the lighting functions, so when we get around to putting it on the track, you'll be able to see all the lights on it. CN coaches.
They're here.
They've got a lot of them. Go buy them. Not really much else to say on that.
That marketing diploma really helps you, didn't it?
Yeah, we thought we'd bring this guy by. This is our meat reefer. We've announced another run of them. They're gonna the orders we're taking on them until the end of the month.
Yes.
This is a bit of a weird one. It's a U.S. prototype. They did run up into Toronto and Montreal.
Absolutely.
But I mean, this is also a wood car, so it probably would have stopped running around 1970.
72, but really by the mid-60s.
Okay.
What about queso train?
You might have.
You would have seen them on queso.
Yeah.
Chicago to New York.
Chicago, New York, Chicago, upstate New York. Yeah.
Have you manufactured the Swift ones yet?
We've done one Swift.
We're doing two
another.
more Swifts now.
That's the red one.
Yeah. The red was the original. Was the first one we did. We're now doing.
When was that finished? The red Swift. So.
That was in our first run, which we made, I guess, last year.
Oh, okay.
There's two new Swifts. Now, ironically, the red Swift is what everyone looks at as being the iconic Swift reefer, and it actually isn't.
Yeah, it was.
The red block, which is this color, but has the red block with the Swift, and that's the one that ran for the longest period of time, and that's coming out in this release. Okay, so, and you saw a lot of those up here because they would be coming up to the Canada Packers Weston plant.
And then last but not least on the HO scale side of things, gondola. You guys still have quite a few, right?
Yeah, we have all variations, and we have probably every number here.
Excellent.
We have one store and online too.
Okay. I guess technically our second HO scale freight car product, even though it arrived before the meat reefers. We're hoping this is not going to be the end of HO scale freight cars for us. We've got a couple of other projects that we're looking at. But in the interim, I mean, I don't know if you guys haven't seen our gondola, we got this sample here that you can actually check out. It's got a good weight to it, full metal wheels, metal couplers. One of the neat things is every single rib is a separately applied part. It's all individual. It's actually all Z-shaped. These are proper Canadian, built in Hamilton, National Steel Car gons. It's not the Proto 2000 gon. While correct for some CN numbers, is an ARR gon. It's a different prototype. These were way more numerous. I think CN had about 300 of them, and CP had about 3,000 of them. So it's nice for anyone who's got a layout from about late 40s, early 50s to current, because I mean you can still see them on the rails today.
Plus the TH&B that are still kicking around.
THB still has a couple. That's right.
But Woodstock, you usually will see a handful kicking in Woodstock through the years.
There we go.
But there's been 2 or 3 up in the Havelock Yard in Peterborough in ballast service.
Yep.
And then I guess Michael will take care of the N-scale items.
Sure.
And applause. Go ahead.
The applause was because you were
Different
gone.
age group, man, that's why. We have to help the seniors out. We stick together.
I like this man.
Are you going to be eating it later?
I've done that already.
So in N-scale we have currently coming out 2 cars. We have the 10.5 Sleepers and we have the Cafe Bar Lounges. These were announced back when Dan was in Pampers, but they are actually coming out very shortly. I'm waiting for one. It's true though.
Oh, no. That would then imply that those have been in production longer than the LRC.
I was talking about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, fair enough.
We're waiting for one last sample to come up from the factory, so I realistically will see these sometime in the fall.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the factory. We have 2 factories. One of them is in the grand scheme of things, a fairly small facility, and the other one is even smaller. And unfortunately, we have to wait for tooling changes because they're too busy with other things.
Yes.
So in the case of the N-scale cars, we've been waiting for these tooling changes for a couple of months now, and we need them so that we can approve the cars so we can then go ahead and put them in production. And they've been so busy with other things like the coaches and the Bud coaches, which are on the way, and the Dome cars, the park cars, which will be leaving the factory in 3 to 4 weeks. They just haven't had enough time to finish off all the changes and get them back to us to modify them. So as much as we'd like to say that we want to have them here for October, November, it may slide a bit. To be honest, they've been putting a lot more work into the LRC lately than the N-scale cars, much to Mike's chagrin, and also much to ours, because we haven't closed the order deadline for the LRCs, but we have for the N-scale cars. So we really want to get the N-scale cars into production.
Jason's going over in August, and I'm sending him with a picture of me before my coffee, just to show the factory.
It's not pretty.
So, you know. Also, in terms of passenger cars, we've announced the Osgood Bradley cars, which will be coming out, I would say, probably mid-year next year, or maybe before.
Not if the order deadline's
Not the order,
spring.
yeah, it's true. And we're waiting for first tooling samples on them, same issue. And then there's this little guy here. This GMD1, the baby brother of the big one. This is the first sample we've got off of it. It doesn't even have a chip in it yet because, frankly, Dan hasn't had time to put one in yet. What we're doing with this, though, is we're offering obviously a DC and a DCC sound version, but the DC version will actually have a chip in it. The work that we've done, we have found that to get the slow speed performance in N-scale, especially on tight corners like this without binding, the chip helps regulate the motor, and the work we've done with the current motor we have and just an off-the-shelf chip, we're getting down to 2 scale miles per hour on curves without cogging. Certainly good enough for switching purposes for N-scale. Our obviously orders are still open on this. We can try and put this on the layout, see if it runs. It's been beaten up badly. You'll see it's missing parts and it's been sort of killed. But we are still developing the sound on this. It'll have the same sound files as its big brother.
Although obviously the speaker is not going to be the same.
No, but we're working with a guy named John Colombo for any N-scalers who know John. He is probably the master of sound conversions on things today, and he's used Fox Knoll speakers. He's also experimenting with hearing aid speakers, which have a very high attenuation rate, and they look very promising. So we have high hopes on the sound for this, and as soon as we have something, we'll obviously share that. So, and there's a new announcement coming out in a couple of weeks, not sure when, on a transition era freight car that will be announcing for N-scale as well. Good from the 1930s to the 1960s. So.
And then I guess finally, we've got a couple of a small assortment of our detail parts here. Lighting kits, passenger car trucks, freight car wheels. We've got 3 different freight car trucks here. The third one's over there, sorry. One set of passenger car trucks here. But the one I wanted to show you, and I'm going to pass these around. If you want to grab that set, and if you want to grab that set. Those are Barber S2 70-ton freight car trucks Originally built as friction-bearing trucks, but have roller-bearing retrofit caps into them. It's a little modification that was frequently done to freight cars in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So that way they could be used in interchange service. And I think there's been 1 or 2 renditions of these in the past, but it's involved clunky add-on parts that they looked okay, but I mean, you still had this add-on part that you had to add. These are done for you out of the factory. All you gotta do is put them under your cars. And I guess that's pretty much it for the show and tell part of the thing. At this point, we'll put some stuff on the track here and let you guys see and hear what it sounds like. Start with that here.
Have you addressed it?
No.